Welcome, everybody. We're so grateful that you are tuning in for our new rendition of the Burg Breakdown. Today, we're going to be breaking down with some of our team the past sermon series that we just finished called Built Different. In Jeremiah and many other parts of the Bible, it talks about how God has set us apart to be different, to be in the world but not of the world, to be a city on a hill. So let's jump into the content today and talk about being built different. All right, everybody, welcome to the table for our first Burg Breakdown in a long time. Let's go ahead before we jump into the content today, introduce ourselves and what you do here at the Burg Church. Why don't you go first?
Cool. I'm Jamel Strickland. I am the worship director here at the Burg. I oversee the tech, not creative, but kind of help assist creative and work with the worship and music for the Sunday morning experience. So that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
Yeah. My name is Brayton, and I oversee all of our next gen everything, youth, kids, and young adults.
And I'm Emmy. I'm over guest connection. So anyone new here or want to serve here or need to meet someone here, I like to consider myself the church's cruise director.
There you go. I like that a lot. The real question is, if we were a cruise line, which cruise line would we be?
Disney.
Was that a question?
Down. I only know one cruise line, so I could not give an accurate description of what that would look like.
Why would it be anything else?
You're correct. Anybody who comes here, you already know what she's talking about. And so, anyways, let's jump into some of our content. We just ended a sermon series called Built Different, and we talked about a lot of biblical characters who we believe were built different than the rest. God has called us to be built different, a city on a hill, light in the darkness, all of these different things, formed us in our mother's womb. He had a plan for us, set us apart. As we've gone through those weeks, I wonder, what are some of your favorite Bible characters, the ones who inspire you, the ones who you relate to, the ones that stuck out to you the most? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Do it.
So it doesn't get taken. Mine is Paul. I think his story of transformation is incredible. Someone headed in such a different direction and then a complete change. And not just like a couple steps in the right direction toward God, but like completely, I'm called by God now and I'm going to go preach the gospel.
Yeah.
I love that he could preach, but also write. I think I appreciate his ability to articulate what he knew God was inspiring his heart, but also his boldness to just tell people how it was. And I appreciate that a lot about him.
Love it.
Yeah, that's actually pretty solid. Wasn't mine. I'm glad you didn't say mine.
Everybody wins just a little bit, hoping it wouldn't get taken.
Exactly. You know, of course, Jesus is like number one, so I have to say second to that. One of my favorite biblical figures is Samson, actually. I think his is very significant in a way where it's actually most relatable to the everyday believer, Christian. We face a lot of things in our lives that are sometimes temptation, where sometimes temptation can take root of where God is leading us to and can kind of throw us off our game and really following the purpose that God has for our lives. Yeah. But what I love about Samson is that, of course, when his power was stripped from him, when the Spirit of the Lord, he was the only figure that the Spirit of God literally was departed from him. Yeah. But he came to a place in repentance where he regained his strength and he was able to get his power back and ultimately fulfill the purpose that God had over his life. That's good. And I just see that was super relatable to me in my life as well, as far as where there were things sometimes where, say, off my A game, or that I wasn't truly, or not that I wasn't truly, but there was a time in the life where I was on track and then God called me back. And I'm seeing a manifestation of it now, it's awesome.
It's great. Yeah. Emmy, what about you?
I love Daniel. I have always loved Daniel. I love that Daniel did Daniel. Daniel did what he was supposed to do, and it was consistent, and it wasn't for show. And because he was consistent in that is what he was known for. I interpret dreams, but I'm not going to tell you on it. I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to eat what I eat. I'm going to follow the law. I'm not going to draw attention to myself because it's not about me. And because of his his consistency and how he was going, he constantly was pulled back. So king after king after king was constantly like, hey, also I need you to, you're going to be in charge because you're good at it. And like I see the value in what you bring, even though like you don't go, like you're not from here, but I still see the value that you bring. And so in the midst of that, because he was consistently who he was supposed to be every step of the way, not only was he able to like speak life into other people or destruction or truth, and he also used and lived so much like in that now. And I love the like vision for the future of even like, I don't know if this future is for me and it doesn't matter, but this is the future that I see. And so we have to be ready in all those parts. So I've always loved Daniel.
It's very good.
And there's lions.
Very good. Yeah, right. Of course.
There's lions.
Anytime you put the apex predator in there, it kind of wins. I think my favorite character, I would have to say, at least the one that I relate to the most, has been Moses. Moses is somebody who is out, shepherding his father-in-law's flock. And while I haven't done that, I have felt that there was a season of wondering, trying to figure out, God, what do you have for me? Yeah. And then Moses was led into something that he was unqualified to do and was terrified to do. And Moses was also sent back to the place that he grew up to bring them into freedom. And that's something that's very significant for me because I am a Cabarrus County born and bred Southern North Carolina man. And so I love being able to say that my mission field is where I've lived my life. Yeah. And I'm seeing people who I grew up with come to church and get hungry to hear the Lord's voice and to walk in a relationship with him. And at the same time, identifying with Moses because Moses was known for not being great with his speech or his grammar. And that is the story of my life. If you come to church at the Burg, you know that I recreate or invent a new word every single week. But by God's grace, somebody gets something from it, and we're excited about what he's doing. But yeah, I would say that that's my favorite character. So I want to ask another question. Yeah. So I think with all of these characters, especially when you look at Daniel, you could say consistency is the attribute that set him apart. So when you look at people, let's just say biblical, and also today, for people who are making a difference in their community or in their workplace or whatever, what are some of those attributes that you see in people or in high-level leaders that kind of set them apart that we could strive to be more like or apply those things to our life?
I'll keep. I'll go. I would say that consistency part, and it is... it's consistency in that it's second nature. Yeah. And I think it takes time to become second nature. And I think when I was thinking, how this works, so there's a lady who walks in my neighborhood and like she matches her dog. And you know how like in those things where like they match?
Or no,
they look the same. Like they have the same color hair. The mannerisms are the same and they kind of run that way, but it's because they spend time. And people say like, that husband and wife after many years, they look like each other. They start resembling each other. And so it is within that consistency, it's because it's your nature now. Yeah. And it's not something that it happens. It's work. It's every day. It's making the choice every day. It is like giving yourself grace when grace is needed. And it is walking through that and admitting, hey, I messed up and I'm going to do better this time and doing better this time because I've made the conscious choice that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. So I would say that's what I see.
It's very good. What do you guys think?
That's actually, you hit a little bit of what I was thinking is the accountability part. Coming to a place of humility where we're able to acknowledge where we're at right now may not be our best, and we're always having something else that we can strive to be better. Identifying the things within ourselves consistently that may be a stumbling block for us to actually move forward and for God to actually use us the way that he truly wants to use us. Yeah. So I think just having that humility and accountability in that sense and just kind of looking through the lens of not the flesh, but literally the nature of Christ and what he wants and his will for us and the purpose for our lives. That's kind of, I think, is a great characteristic or where it starts at.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
I wrote down 4. So I'm going to give them, I think patience is huge, how you respond, not just your reaction, tenacity, and sacrificial. people who I believe are built different are sacrificial. And then the last one, I think, is a short memory for pain. I think it's important to have a good memory when it comes to the people that you're living life with. But I think it's super important to have a short memory for the pain. What I said, people who are built different don't dwell on the pain of the past, but instead are more focused on following Jesus.
Yeah.
So I think you said something Sunday, like I'm more focused on pleasing God and doing what God has called me to do instead of being distracted by the world. And I think it's difficult sometimes people early in their relationship with Christ to get over the pain of their past. God's already forgiven them. And it's just a constant stumbling block for them to move past.
Yeah.
In reality, God's asked us to push forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Run the
ask a
race.
deeper question to follow up on that. How have you practiced? I think that this is a very powerful point because I think you cannot step into the future that God has for you until you release the past that he saved you from. And you don't release it and forget about it forever, but it becomes more of a testimony instead of a crutch. How have you in your life become quick to forget? I call it the Kobe Bryant mentality, like forget the last shot and shoot again.
I think what's really helped is something one of my old friends, mentors used to say is take your work seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. The work that we do is extremely important. But at the end of the day, because we're living a sacrificial life for Jesus, I have to continue to trust people. And my inability to trust people only holds me back from fulfilling what God has asked me to do. Yeah. So I believe it's the power of the Holy Spirit that renews our mind. Talks about that. Paul talks about that in Romans. But it's coming to an understanding that there's something that happened. This is real. This happened in my life. We acknowledge that. But I've got to find a way. I've got to find something to hold on to. And that's through God's word and also the people around us that help hold us up. It's the friends, the family, the community that we all want. We the fam, but also knowing that there's more to accomplish. And if I can't let go of this thing, it's going to prevent me from doing what God's called me to do.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think all of these things are great attributes of what it looks like to become a person who's built different. And I feel like the word consistency is what's required for all the attributes that are necessary to be built different. I think that some people think that all of a sudden they're going to wake up and everything's just going to drastically be different. And I think there is a shift in your mentality and in your spirit, which we'll talk about. But you become a culmination of all the little things you do consistently.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's an important thing. If we could challenge anybody today, anybody you're watching here, just begin to become consistent in little things. Reading your Bible consistently, praying consistently, walking with healthy community consistently. Those things can change the course of your future. But I believe that consistency is caused by something that happens deeper that creates a great shift in your life. So for you guys, I would love to say all of us have always been perfect and we've all been exactly where we're supposed to be. But at some point we were in Samson's seat, not of pushing over the pillars of the temple, but of falling short because of the desires of our flesh or not yet fully committing ourselves to Christ. When was the moment in your life? I think there's a lot of people who are desiring to become different. Christ says he gives us a new heart. He renews our mind. When was that moment in your life that the gap was bridged from who you were to who you are today, to where you had that transformation of I now need to be a different person and this is what this looks. When did that happen in your life?
I'll take this one. Okay. So there were two pivotal, we call it defining moments in our life. One was before I was married, when I was in college. My parents, I got to front row seat watch them walk through one of the most difficult seasons of their life in terms of being pastor. I grew up a pastor's kid, so I love the church, but we also see all the things that happen. And it was one of the hardest seasons for me to watch them go through something so difficult, but watch the way that they responded, still choosing Christ, still choosing to be faithful. And it was, I think, their actions that sealed in my heart, this is what I'm called to do. And regardless of what happens, regardless of the things that we go through, I choose Jesus' church every time. I believe that the local church is the solution for a lot of the problems our world faces. And it's important. So I knew then that God kind of sealed it in our heart then, but then also after I'd been married for a little while, my son Caden was diagnosed with a heart disease, 20 weeks in utero, and we found out he was going to be born with half of his heart essentially. And so on day 2 of life, so he's born day 2 of life, he has open heart surgery, and we spend the next 98 days at Duke in hospital, just watching my son fight for his life. And it's through a season like that, it's like watching my parents respond in their situation that sealed my heart in terms of what I was called to do, but then also knowing that I believe that helped set us up to continue to answer the call of God, but also watch the way that we respond. Mm-hmm. And so we saw God's faithfulness more than any other season of our life. Our marriage was actually strengthened through a season like that. The divorce rates of some married couples with kids with some of these more difficult diseases, heart disease, any kind of struggles, it's staggering. Mm-hmm. And I think in a time where the world expects you to mess up and to fall apart, God was able to strengthen us. And so there's seasons like that, you get out of it and you're like, hey, if we can make it through that, we can make it through just about everything. Mm-hmm. And God sealed it for us. Like, even if one person comes to know Jesus because of Caden's story, we'd do it all again.
That's right.
And I think that's a level of maturity that we grow into as Christ followers.
Yeah.
Understanding that he's going to use all of this for good. And I think that's one of the ways we get over the pain of the past is like, I have to mature past the way I've used to react and begin to respond differently.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I have 2.
Yeah.
So one of mine is the same thing of like watching, and this was actually after. So my first one, I after college, went to college, knew a couple people who were already there a couple years ahead, jumped straight into Chi Alpha Ministries, and so was really involved in kept that going when I was at home, but I never really felt like I needed to make the choice for myself. Mm-hmm. So I got a job right out of college, moved to Durham, and then it was like, okay, I literally know no one in this town, and no one knows me. Yeah. I was one step below a pastor's kid where my parents just worked at the church. So that made it complicated because we were there before and after the pastor because we had to lock up for it. So when I knew where every outlet was, that's, where I was. And so to kind of walk into a place where no one knew me and no one expected me to have that relationship, then I had to have the relationship or decided if this is what I want for my own. And I did the online church thing because it was really scary to say I'm going to walk into a church by myself in a town I know no one. Mm-hmm. And I've looked at some of these websites and I can't go to this church. This is not going to, we're not going to fit. And so I was really nervous about it. And so I was like, well, I'll just watch online. And then I did a deep dive study into what do I believe? And so I was looking at legitimately, and this is so nerdy, the 16 fundamental truths of the Assemblies of God, because I wanted to see, do I believe this or not? I don't know. This is where I'm going to decide. And I literally went through this time by myself. Yeah. And I went through, it was a January, and that I did one a day for 16 days. And I was like, this is where I need to be. Yeah. And so I decided to go to a church, and I walked in, and I saw 3 people I worked with that I didn't know go there. Yeah. And it was one of those reaffirming moments for me of there is community, but it takes your step first. Yep. Yeah. And that was a huge step for me. And then, season of life changed. I moved back home and I just kind of jumped into what I was doing in high school. And then I walked through a season of where things just needed to shift for a myriad of reasons. And then it was, okay, but now I've got to move on from that. And what does that look like? It didn't feel right not to go to church. I felt like I was missing something and I needed it. And so when I realized that after 2 weeks, it didn't take me long. I was like, no, I need that community. It's so important. Yeah. I've got to find what that looks like and I have to make the commitment for me. And so it's not just about church, but it's about, I need to read my Bible because I want to. And there are some days where I'm I've been reading my Bible for 38 years, and couldn't read when I was a baby, but never mind. I've been reading my Bible or hearing Bible stories the whole time, and like, I do not remember this one.
Right.
Like, this is crazy, or I hear it a different way, or it's so differently in how it applies to me, or I see that so much differently, that like, it's new every day, and it's a decision you make every day. And I think you have those shifts, and I think they can come all the time, even when you're raised in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah. I think the shift for me, I'd say, I mean, man, you look at the span of my whole life, you see a lot of changes in perspective on what I do, even now in music or, so I went to school for music performance and everything back in college, where you're kind of told to do a certain thing, or I was in a lot of ministries where it was more performance based, where you're kind of, and of course I read my word, I prayed and everything, but what we do in ministry was kind of represented in a way where I didn't truly like feel like I was fulfilling what God really wanted to do in my life.
Right.
And it wasn't until I'd say after I graduated, which is like 2019. So I started teaching high school back in my hometown and everything. I was still interns, minister of music at a few churches back in where I went to school at. And even still, there was still that, not disconnect. Well, yeah, I can say it was like a disconnect. Yeah. But then COVID hit, where we were forced to kind of, be home and, actually sing like 20 feet apart, where it's almost like I didn't feel like we didn't really have a purpose of being there, and we were just kind of going through the motions. And then after that, I kind of moved out to Charlotte just because I felt like I needed a fresh start on trying to figure out what's next. During COVID, it almost felt like it stripped away purpose. And I think I've talked to a lot of people where they feel like it stripped away the essence of who they are.
Yeah.
And I, in a sense, and it's not too long ago, I had to kind of rewire myself to the point where I was like, man, what am I called to do? Right. I feel like I was called to do this, but now I'm like kind of confused, and no one ever predicted a pandemic to come in their lifetime. So, I wasn't prepared for that. But moving to Charlotte, just trying to get a fresh restart on perspective. What am I supposed to be doing here? Yeah. God, why did you say Charlotte type deal? And I end up running into another Assembly of God church where I felt a different presence that I never felt before. And the struggle and the battle that I had when I first got into it was that my mindset was said, I'm supposed to do this a certain way.
Yeah.
And so I struggled for a while trying to even lead in the capacity that I was trying to lead, because I was trying to lead in a way where it was like everything's pre-scripted in a way, where I didn't feel like it was actually relational. Everything was prompted instead. So the shift for me was really distinguishing and narrowing down like God's will and his plan for our lives, and really defining what it means to be called, to be set apart, and be called to actually walk through God's will and his plan for our life. And it became more relational. So of course I've always read my word. It's kind of like you said too. I will read it and I'm like, man, I'm getting a whole completely new revelation.
Every time.
Exactly. that I never had before. And so it wasn't until I kind of just moved and kind of got into this new environment where there was a community of people who are truly grounded in the faith and have deep roots, where they're truly seeking the heart of Christ, which was different for me to experience. So it changed my whole perspective on what that looks like being like David, a man after God's own heart, and seeking that through not just, seeking it through worship, but also just in my personal life. So the shift changed drastically on how I view everything, how what worship looks like and what worship truly is.
Yeah.
And I think defining what worship truly was or what it is truly just kind of shifted everything for me. And, it's changed my life dramatically, I can say.
It's awesome.
So that's me.
It's very good.
Yeah.
So we're going to do our last round of question is one word. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to tell you this before I share my small piece so that you have some time to think about it. So you got to think of one word to summarize the series that we just preached, Built Different. So if you didn't watch Built Different, you can go back to our YouTube page on the Burg Church and watch it in our sermons. If it could be a word that helps somebody be built different, it could be some of the words that you said earlier, although I would call that cheating. And so I think that what you shared there is kind of what I felt when God transformed my mindset, is when I felt I became truly built different, because I don't think built different is just the concept of being a harder worker or smarter with your time, although I think that those are outcomes of being built different and godly stewardship. But for me, I felt like the moment that I became built different was when I stopped giving God conditions to my yes, and when I stopped limiting God to my concepts or capacities.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I think that for me, what I thought was different was really just the harder or the better version of what I wanted. But what was truly different was the moment I said, God, yes, no matter what, no matter where, no matter how. And so I think that that's something that I've learned through preaching this series, is that God wants to do something greater than our capacity, outside of the comfort of our circle, all the things that we've preached. And sometimes committing to God to be built different is not comfortable. It's not easy. And I believe being a Christian should not be easy.
Yeah.
It is a life of sacrifice and celebration.
Yeah.
So one word, fire round. One word, you have to summarize the series Built Different that we just went through, or what it is to be built different, and you can use your own concept. Jamel, you're going to go first because you didn't go first the whole time.
I'd say...
One word and you can't explain it.
Okay. Renew.
Renew, okay?
Submission.
Submission.
Discipline.
Discipline.
That's a good one.
Mine's kind of the same. I was going to say intentionality.
I could go with. I had other thoughts. No, we're good. They're
She's
different.
3 or 4
They're
words.
different.
They're different, totally. Well, we're so grateful that you joined us for our revamp of the Burg Breakdown. We're excited to bring this to you weekly. Hope you guys are having an amazing week following Jesus and making disciples. And always remember, at the Burg,
We the fam.